access this content out here that is a number of different things in AutoCAD that allow you to draw kind of quickly and have some content to get you started. So if I go to ENUS and then Design Center, and then down here to my Design Center drawings under Design Center, I got all these drawings. And let's say I'm a person who wants to, I'm in the place right now where I just want to lay out some furniture in my house. Well, if I go to this right here, I've got these blocks, I've got a queen size bed, I just take it and drag it into my drawing right there. I'm just gonna do this right now. But if I go out here, we see that, hey, there is the bed right there, okay? That you just dragged in here from Design Center. And then if I go back here to Design Center, I can grab a chair and pull that in. I can grab a dining room set and pull that in. And then if you're doing something besides that, something besides space planning, maybe this house designer, this allows me to put in things such as like a bathtub if I was actually laying out a plan. And here I've got, on top of this, I've got some windows, and I can go ahead and drop those in. I've got a sink. So this is all content that comes right with AutoCAD. Any install that you have of AutoCAD, if you install it at home, you're going to have Design Center. All this is going to be available to you. Let's say you want to do some kitchen type of layouts. Well, you've got some... Question? Question?
I don't know, I was just looking at the Design Center.
Okay, and then you got this right here. Yeah, question?
How do you appropriately size it to your drawing?
Well, they come in sized to real architectural sizes, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if I were to measure this,
true.
the standard size,
Okay.
yeah, it's actually pretty cool. The standard size of, for instance, let me do this. The standard size of a bathtub is typically what? Who knows the standard size of a bathtub, roughly? 5 foot by about 3 foot, roughly, somewhere down there, and 5 feet by 30 inches, something like that. So if I go to dimension, let's find out what it is. I ask it, and it tells me that it is 60, all right? And then if I go here, and I ask it again, repeat them, and I go here, and I ask it, what is this? That is 36. So it's 5 foot by 3 foot, so it's scaled accordingly to what we'd be wanting, to what we'd expect it to be. So the content is scaled for an architectural drawing, and so on your sink here is probably going to be 3 feet. I'm just guessing, but I think it probably is going to be. And so we go here. What is it? It is 36. So it is 3 feet. Okay, so that's some content right here. This is Design Center, and this is how we could begin to draw some items. Now, if I go back there, just to show you one other thing, if you wanted to go to landscaping, let's say, I can go to blocks. I could pull in trees, and these also are of there's a clump of trees, and then I've got I got a swimming pool, throw that in there too. And then I got a car, and I can drop a car in there. So there is a lot of content out here that just exists. And then if you specifically are a person who maybe is a plumber, well then you can get these kind of things, get some schematic type of blocks. And this is all just stuff to get you started, okay? So this is Design Center, Control 2, and you gotta navigate to find this, and I'll help you find it if it's something that you find you need. The last thing is Control 3. Control 3 is, try to type in the darkest stuff. Control 3 opens up what is called tool palettes. Now tool palettes, you'll notice you've got different content up here. And for instance, right here, you've got, this is for 3D modeling, and then you got stuff for these are for parametric constraints, we're not worried about that. And then you have some annotation things. Then you got architecture. Now architecture, here's where it gets interesting. If I go here and if I grab this particular toilet and pull this into my drawing, this is what's called a dynamic block. Okay, if I touch this, this dynamic block doesn't just have one grip, it has 3. All right, now let's look at the difference. If I click on this item right here, this is a standard block. It has one grip, I click on it and I can move it. This is a standard block. I click on it and it is one grip and it's all one unit and I can move it. This, however, is a dynamic block, and so if I hit this drop down here, it gives me all these different views of the same item, which is a toilet, but there's an elongated front plan inside. Then there's a front plan of a rounded toilet, a front plan of a plan view of the round toilet, and a side view. And then in addition to that, we got a pull chain toilet, and kind of going old school. And then you got the same kind of things here. So that's all content, but let's say we just stick with plan right, this one right here, this elongated. And if I click on this round grip, I can rotate it like that. allows me to rotate it with that grip right there. And then what I can do, this is kind of cool, is this allows me to actually take it and dock it on another object. So in this case, we have a toilet right next to our right next to our pool, because we do not want people peeing in our pool. So therefore, we have a toilet right there. No excuses, folks. We used to have a pool, and my gosh, you invite the neighborhood kids over and just like, oh my goodness, what happened, you know? And, but anyway, at least that's what we said. But secretly, I think it was not necessarily the neighborhood kids. But anyway, we go to Door Imperial. And if I pull this in, this Door Imperial, if I click on this right here, this has a number of grips. Okay, now this is what's really kind of cool about this, because as you're working with this right now, you can size this to be like right now, it's a 6-inch thick wall, a 5-inch thick wall, or a 4-inch thick wall. And so it'll go ahead and it'll change that and adapt it. Then I can actually change here. It's a 40-inch door, 36-inch door, 32-inch door, 30-inch door. See that right there? So all this is there. And then I can say, you know what, I don't even like the look of this. I want it to be open 90 degrees. And you can change it there or change it there. And so just different views that come right with it. And then the pièce de résistance, you can do this. You can do this, you can flip it, flip the door swings, and then an inside swing or an outside swing. So that's kind of a quick introduction to blocks and how they work in your drawing. So what we would do is, if I was in this particular drawing, I would go ahead and I'd make a wall layer, and then I'd make a windows layer, and I'd make a doors layer. And then what I would do is I'd give them appropriate colors, yellow for the walls, and red for the doors, and green for the windows. All right, and I go there and I click there. And then if I just go to my wall, I make that current close here, then I could begin to make a structure here, and I'll go ahead and just say, okay, right now I want architectural values, so I'll say architectural. And now I'll go by polyline and say this is about 30 feet. What the heck? That's about the size of a lot of homes. 30 feet there, and 30 feet this way. And then I can just go up here and touch it with using my object snap tracking, and touch it here, and allows me to track over, and then I can close it. And then what is the tool that I use to make a copy of this inside? That's right, go for offset. And what would be a good offset distance? 4, 5, 6 inches, right around there. So I just pick 5 inches, hit enter, and I click on this and I drag it inside. Now I have a 5-inch wall. Okay, to prove it to myself, I can measure it, and there's a little measuring tool up here, by the way. If you ever want to measure something and you don't want to go make a dimension out of it, you click on measure and you go to distance. And then at this point, you can actually click on 2 points, and it tells you that's 5 inches. All right. So we see, okay, yep, it really did draw it. Now that we have this right here, what we can do is we can then populate it with doors, okay, with our door block that we saw. And our door block is right here. So if I grab it, and if I grab it by its grip, I can go ahead and take it. And just to show you how this works, I'll go ahead and just stash it somewhere on here. It's looking for a nearest place. And it kind of threw it there. And so what I want to do is I want to rotate that around. So I just use my standard rotate command. We talked about rotate, and I go ahead and rotate it, and then that's in position, and I'm good to go. So right now, what am I seeing right now? Well, this is not quite filling my wall space, so if I click on this, I can drag it, and boom, I'm at 5 inches. It goes to 5 or 6, but 5 is the sweet spot, so it goes there. So now my door fits perfectly. Put it on the correct layer. And it's doors. Okay, now that is looking pretty sweet. And then the next thing we can do is okay, that is presently a 3-foot 4-inch door. That's really a 3-foot door, so I leave it there. And that's how we could go ahead and put a door in. And then what you would do is you'd want to trim the space in between them. And I'm not sure if that's going to do it or not. Yeah, it did. I trimmed too much though. So what we'd want to do is we want to trim this out. But that's, to make that trim, what I'd probably do then is just make a couple little short lines here just to give myself a cutting edge, and then I can trim that out between those two. So in the trim command, we start the trim command, and the trim command asks you what are your cutting edges. I click on this is a cutting edge, and that is a cutting edge. And then I right click my mouse and I can clean this out right there. That is a nice looking door. And then what we would do is to insert a window, same kind of procedure. I could go over here and I could grab a window. I've got my, I got several different options here. If I just use this is kind of a basic window block, it's pretty simple. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it somewhere in here. And I went ahead and dropped it, and then you're gonna rotate it. Just to get it in the proper position, because they're kind of stubborn, you know, that's the thing. They weren't really built, you know, to do things, you know, all the way automated. So now I click on this, and same thing. I've got a 5-inch, a 6-inch, got these wall depths. I can choose 5 inches, fits in perfectly. Then I can say how big is how big is this window, and I can click on this, and it starts out at 3 foot, 3'6", up to 4 feet. You know, so I can go ahead and use that to put in my windows. So that is another way. And so now I have already have some features in here. And then on top of that, what I can do is then I populate it with like my tub and other options right here. And this is how we begin to put information into here. In this case, I just slide this up into the corner here because it fits nicely. And I grab the dimensions too, which I don't really want. So those. And then a good layer for that would be, and I'm just going to create a new layer, call it P-FIXT. That's kind of the standard. And that's almost always cyan. That's the color of the plumbing units. And we'll go ahead and just take that bathtub and put it on the cyan layer. And now you can see that this drawing is already looking pretty descriptive. You know your walls are yellow, your windows are green, your doors are red, and your plumbing fixtures are cyan. So you're already starting to see a separation of information here. And then we could also do the same kind of a thing that we just did with that toilet block, or even this right here. We grab the sink and grab that and drag that into our drawing, and go ahead and leave it there. And then that would be get rid of that dimension, grab this, and put that onto the P-fix layer, and we are good to go. I can park it right here on the wall somewhere here, and nearest, and just go ahead and drop it somewhere there. Okay. So that's just kind of a quick intro to how you can get content. And so what we just saw here was we went through and we talked about the different kinds of things, but that lesson drawing exercise just to kind of show you, because we're going to be going in this direction now. So that is kind of a bit of an introduction to how to do some of the stuff in AutoCAD. So let me stop and let me ask a question here. So as we're working with this right now, what am I drawing right here? What kind of construction document am I drawing right here? It's a floor plan, very good. And the floor plan is going to depict information from a top-down view. It's not an elevation, it's a floor plan.